Hello boys and girls, welcome to Zork Nemesis. Before we start playing Sartorius' world, let's see what the manual has to say about him. Frostham, is he born? Chief of Staff, Grey Mountains Asylum. He's a physician. Last sighting, leaving the asylum, headed in the direction of Temple Agrippa, yes. He also quoted the renowned historian... What? Who is this? The Descent of Saint Yoruk. I guess we have to read then. Well, let's read this story because it looks like we've read this. Conservatory in her dreams. Robophone. Yeah, here we have some instruments. William, hello. You go. Yeah, William, you can go to sleep. I will. You can watch the stream offline because I will read here around in this manual for about half an hour and then play Sartorius. So later on today in the evening I will stream again. So you'll have had your sleep by then. Hello, Raiden. What? This is some Malvo stuff. But we can read about the Yoruk, so we know what he is, what this thing is. The story goes something like this. The merchant Yoruk, a simple man, grows dissatisfied with his simple trade, his simple gods, his simple life. He prays to the implementors and hears nothing. He doesn't take it personally. He understands he's just a yipple dung to them. A little man among little men, so he does what any logical fellow would do, and follows this sullen, lowly sort of a demon down to hell to speak with the devil. Quite reasonably, he assumes the devil, being the devil, will keep less exclusive company. And he's right. Only standing between Yoruk and his devil is this totally horrific, fire-snarling demon. A major demon, the grand demon of them all, the great demon of the threshold, and I believe a ring of hellfire. There absolutely is fire. I'm now remembering because that's what next has to happen. Yoruk's demon pulls out a ruby shield and passes through the flames untouched. A ruby shield. Oh, this may be important. I remember there was a puzzle like this. So Yoruk's demon pulls out a ruby shield and passes through the flames untouched. If there is a ring of hellfire, a ruby shield will help you. But Yoruk, oh, ye with the faith of a hungus, loses his nerve and lets go of the magical shield and is burnt. As a whole throng of demons gathers around him to heckle and jeer his imminent incineration, Yoruk seizes his opportunity, steals a like shield from the side of a careless demon, and dashes through the flames unscathed. Then, armed only with a simple blade of a simple merchant, Yoruk slays the great demon of the threshold in his surprise, and makes his way down to the devil, who, reasonably amused, teaches Yoruk the great mysteries of cosmos. Could it be that the blade, the knife we saw in the library in the Agrippa temple is a simple knife of a simple merchant? Maybe we'll need it to slay some boss enemy here. The monastery at Stepinthrax, the seat of Zoroastrianism. Well, that's probably Malvo's world, because Malvo is this monk guy. Well, that's really about it. York spends the rest of his life making good sense out of hell, and finally, when his natural life draws to a close and he finds himself creeping upwards to the implementers, the seraphim and the cherubim, the harmony and the ecstasy seem strangely florid and overwrought. He stays to talk a while with the implementers, finds them likable enough in their own way, and then politely requests that he be returned to the company of his good friends in the underworld, citing differences both aesthetic and philosophical. The implementers resist until Yoruk, brandishing his sword and the bronze shield with the 5 file rubies, hacks a path through the happy fields where joy forever dwells, and is never heard of again, though his vast knowledge of things above and below, as scripted in the many books of Saint Yoruk, is truly enlightenment of a most sensible sort. Well, 24 Arch. I am by this time not surprised to discover that the mad woman Sooth had predicted my current destination in her eerie drawings, and I wandered through the monastery at Stepinthrax. I stopped up on stone, so... Well, this is Stepinthrax. I'm not interested in a Stepinthrax. I'm interested in something like... the asylum. Okay. Yeah, Sartorius' asylum. This asylum, probably it's where we are standing now, is a haunted place. Many levels of the complex are abandoned. Floors 2 through 19 appear completely deserted. This esteemed Dr. Sartorius, who, from the testimonials I have discovered, has done such good for so many, has left his papers in some disarray. The place looks as if it has been ransacked. It is hard to visit this place and not walk away for a time shocked. Partly the condition could be attributed to the withdrawal of government funding, as the doctor's papers attest. However, there is a great deal of blood which suggests a familiar pattern, the work of the Nemesis. Knowing nothing of the medical profession and less of science, I am learning a little. I encountered an unusual chair. It must have been some therapeutic device. Oh, yeah. 1,000 fingers. Most unusual chair. Sitting in it created a most pleasurable sensation, as though hundreds, perhaps thousands of fingers were devoted to my corporeal stimulation. After several sittings, I resolved to bring this device to the attention of the vice-regent on my return. I discovered some food here and made the mistake of eating it, suffering from abdominal disorder. Surrounded by medicines I dare not take, pain increasing. What is going on in my stomach. I'm beginning to wonder whether this assignment is worth the trials I'm experiencing. I can only go back to the concealed gleam in the Vice-Regent's eyes when he mentioned my reward. I have spent the last weeks doing nothing but reading the alchemy books I discovered among the doctor's papers. Finally, I am able to decipher the signs written in the sand. They are indeed alchemical, and I will try to translate them as best I can. Alchemy is the study of the great system of correspondences that holds our cosmos together. Hence, each of the four has a sign indicating a planet, an element, and a metal. My guess would be that the four were alchemical initiates, each master of one of the four elements. The fifth element, or the quintessence, is the philosopher's stone that caused the mad woman such excitement. These books argue back and forth about what is the precise nature of this quintessentia. It is spiritual, like love or hate, or is it spiritual, like love or hate, or physiological, like blood or marrow, or chemical, like ether or sulfur? What the books do agree upon, however, is the boundless power of the quintessence once possessed. Marked by a great eclipse, the making of the quintessence will bring eternal life and the dawning of a new world. If this demon Nemesis has taken possession of the forbidden lands, as he appears to have, if this curse is his doing, then it is my hypothesis that the general and his madam, the monk and his doctor, all suffering under the curse themselves, whether for the sake of their troops or their patients, their music or their parishioners, came together to fight all hell with the one power stronger, the quintessence, and then I must further hypothesize they lost. Doctor's papers name a sacred place built by Agrippa, an engineer of Duncanthraxis, the temple of the ancients, in the Eastlands. I believe this place to be a place of power, of wild magic, the kind of magic that creates and destroys worlds. If there is anything left of these four brave alchemists, I hope to find them there. I ventured into Frostham and tried to speak of this temple. None would say that it existed, but their haunted faces seemed to confirm what their words could not. I found my chance in the gleaming eyes of an old drunk swilling cheap ale on the side of the road. He had a cousin who knew a Sherpa who needed the money and could take me part of the way. A few Zork minutes later, I found myself shivering on a pack horse, staring up at what appeared to be sheer cliffs of impenetrable rock. Now my guide tells me I am on my own. I shall strike out for the temple tomorrow. I am certain that the end of my journey awaits me there. A dark mood has overtaken me. Perhaps I, too, have finally fallen under the curse. It is difficult to say. All I know is that it is no longer the promise of fortune or promotion, neither politics nor economics, that drives me forward. Like Yorok, I now seek only simple answers, the simple truth, the simple power it wields. I will find the one power, and if I do not, I will meet the Nemesis in hell. I have made arrangements, Yovar. If something were to happen to me in there, I have cast the one spell I know by heart, the spell of the homing pigeon, which returns lost possessions to their homes, upon this little book. Despite my clumsy hand at magic, I have attempted to ensure that this narrative would return to your chambers, my lord. I pray for the day, however, that I place it in your hand myself. Yoruk save us all. Bivotar. Is the Temple of the Ancients? Oh yes, so Temple of the Ancients. We are at the Temple of the Ancients, not at the Temple of Agrippa. Now I see. Temple of the Ancients. To whom it may concern, it is my most sincere wish to make known to all public peoples throughout the empire that Dr. Sartorius, the kind and generous doctor, has done a deed so thoughtful, so helpful, that words cannot describe the things I am trying to say at this time. My son was so sick he could not talk or read or do anything intelligent or smart like usual. We were in money problems, as we are poor, and could not find a person for helping us. Dr. Sartorius said he would fix my son with no money. Not only did he fix my son, he gave him some jobs to work at the laboratory, and my son spends all his time there now. Dr. Sartorius is the greatest kind of man I've known. His things he learns about health have saved my son, and forever in his debt. Sincerely, Akbar, skim-lipped. Yeah, it's written very awfully, with an awful orthography. PDCS formula: 1 bath in boiling water, electricity cook, or gas if you have it, hydrogen to oxygen, molten ore, oxygen to hydrogen, water to cool, helium to make sure it rises. Pi Windcat secret recipe, 14 pairs. Yes, all right. So we couldn't really find out much about the asylum. It's just some background knowledge. So we'll see about Zork in our next session, where we start to explore the temple of, no, not the temple, the asylum. See you then.